So I was reading through the comments on my Titanic Hydra video, the video titled "This Item Will Get Me to Masters," and I saw this guy commenting something very interesting. Diamond player realizes after 3 fucking years that Titanic is a good split pushing item, fucking end me. The reason I say this comment is interesting is because this might actually be the most stupid comment I've ever seen on my YouTube channel before. A comment that's not only factually incorrect and misses the entire point of the video, but also one that suggests this guy doesn't even understand the basics of League of Legends itself. There's plenty of mean comments that you guys leave me in every video, but almost all of them have some sort of basis in reality, like this comment that's complaining about me not talking enough about the Titanic Hydra active and passive, which was on the same video. This is a fairly accurate criticism of that video. I don't talk too much about Titanic's active or passive and don't factor in the damage that it puts out when I'm comparing it to the damage that's put out by other items, as I do in a part of the video. That was on purpose, since those comparisons weren't supposed to be the main focus of the video and they were meant to be as simple and easy to understand as possible, but that's still a fair criticism of me misrepresenting the item a little bit. Or if you want to talk about a much more general comment, any of the comments that call me bad, just straight up bad in League of Legends, they have a little bit of basis in reality. I would argue that I'm pretty good being Diamond 4 and being in the top 10,000 players in North America when there's like 1.2 million people plus that play ranked in NA. In my opinion, that makes me pretty good, but if you're someone that only ever watches challenger tier players or former pro players on YouTube, and then you watch me, I'm going to be a lot worse by comparison. My games are not going to be as high quality, and in that regard, I am pretty bad. But I'm serious when I say that this comment in particular may be the most ignorant that I've ever seen on our comments section before. Firstly, as I've already said, it's factually incorrect. Titanic Hydra has been out in League of Legends for 1.5 years. I have no idea where this guy got 3 years from. Even if he was dumb enough to think that Titanic has always been in the game, even though I say otherwise in the video, I've been playing League of Legends for 6 years, not 3. But the thing that really startles me about this comment and how wrong this person is how he missed the entire point of the video in such a jarring way that it's as if he doesn't understand how League of Legends works. The reason that League of Legends is one of the most popular games in the world, one of the biggest reasons, is because of how long you can play it without getting bored. It accrues a lot of players that don't quit as often as Reddit would have you believe. You can make a single player game as big and expansive as technology will allow, but people will eventually discover everything there is to discover. They'll do everything there is to do, and eventually, after hundreds of hours, they will get bored. This is why MOBAs are so successful. That same rule doesn't apply. When you have 136 champions in the game with team compositions of 5 different champions on a team, that's a lot of different scenarios that you can have for the different kinds of team compositions you can make. More specifically, that's just over 43 billion different team compositions you could play as or against, and that's assuming Riot never adds another new champion to the game. If a game takes just 20 minutes to finish and you have 5 minutes of downtime going through champion selects from one game to the next, that means it would take you over 2 million years of non-stop play to play a game with every single one of these compositions, which of course isn't counting all the other different factors that come into play here. Like, what about one composition that could be played in multiple ways, like a top laner and jungler who could play either person's role? You kind of have to count that twice. Or what about all the different builds, like an Ezreal who goes mid lane could do so as either an AD Ezreal or an AP? Not to mention the fact that this is a number that's just talking about the compositions one team could make, and there's 2 teams per game, or maybe the biggest factor that will change things, the items that you build. This count may be a little bit off as I did it by hand, but there's around 95 different items that you can build on Summoner's Rift that are finished items, meaning that they're completed and can't be built into anything else or upgraded. And with the 6 item slots that you have, that's just over 600 billion different combinations of items that you can make in a single build, assuming that you don't build anything twice. Although, to be fair, you won't see all of those combinations since certain items are staples that will be in almost every build, like boots normally, and some items don't go very well together in the same build. Anyway, the real excitement from League of Legends, for me at least, comes from the fact that you can combine these 2 factors, again, just 2 of the most basic things about the game, the number of team comps that you can see and the items that each individual champion can build, and when you put them together and think about the different possibilities of what you might run into in a single game of League of Legends, you start counting to numbers that I don't think I could actually count to. This variety in League of Legends is what makes it exciting for me, at least, seeing all these different compositions, all the different items item builds, all the different play styles that you might see with each and every champion, and this isn't even counting the patch notes that change all of this every 2 weeks or so. These constantly changing factors are how someone can choose to one-trick a single champion and have a fresh experience playing every single game. This Titanic Hydra video was supposed to be about all of this in its own weird way. This one champion who we thought we knew everything about, that we thought we knew every single item that you could build on her and every single strategy that you could play her with, now there's been a shift in the meta that has completely turned everything on its head. Aurelia has been a champion who's employed the same exact strategy for ages, ever since she was put into the game 6.5 years ago. Build Triforce, build tank, maybe build Triforce into Bork and then tank if you're ahead early, and then just focus on fighting, win fights 1 versus 1 in laning phase, win team fights by grouping in the mid to late game. Details like what ability you might max second and the specific items that you can build have changed a little bit here and there, but the overall theme has stayed almost the exact same all the way up until around 10 months ago, where this strategy became so good Aurelia had to be nerfed. Even after these nerfs, most people just kept on playing this same old strategy for a really long time. It wasn't until maybe around 4 to 6 months ago that people tried something new, which was this strategy I described in the video of building Titanic Hydra and focusing much more on split pushing. Keep in mind, Aurelia, in her 6.5 years in League of Legends, has never been good at split pushing, even when Titanic Hydra was in the game and she was still her old self. She had 0 basic AoE abilities, only her ultimate, which she could not spam, meaning that she gets outclassed by almost every other split pusher in the game normally, and even if you could try and build some AoE item on her, she's always more efficient if she's built as a team fighter, and that's the strategy that you always go on Aurelia. That's just what it's been like for the past 6.5 years. Only after realizing that this item has suddenly hit a breaking point where it's become more cost efficient than it's ever been before, did the most innovative Aurelia players realize it can now turn the champion into something we've never seen before, a good split pusher, and everything that we've known about how to play Aurelia in the mid to late game is suddenly turned on its head when you realize that. It's an exciting, brave new world. This fucking doofus, though, and all the goddamn idiots that upvoted this guy in his incredibly ignorant comment just want to skip over all of that to paint me out like I'm an idiot for some sort of weird joke or something, or like my video wasn't worth making. I don't know about you guys, but I find all of this stuff about League of Legends pretty interesting. If you do too, please subscribe to the channel. If you don't, you can go ahead and leave. I like to keep an illusion that my viewers are a little bit smarter and can think a little more critically than the average YouTube commenter, but this son of a fucking nutcracker wants to completely break my suspension of disbelief by being an idiot. Please, YouTube audience, I'm begging you, please just don't be dumb.